Caribbean food is one of those cuisines that's kind of hard to define because it's a combination of West Indian, there's a little bit of African influence there, some European. But what I do know is it's very delicious. Because of this combination, there's a fantastic balance of sweet, so I'm going to be using pineapple in this, and loads of spices and aromatics like some thyme. Now this is my pork scotch pot roast with pineapple and chilli. It is delicious. Now the first thing we need to do is make a marinade. So some dark rum to start with, along with some honey. So a good tablespoon of honey for some sweetness. And we need some acidity here. So not only red wine vinegar, but also some lemon. I'm just going to cut this lemon in 4. Really big chunks there. I'm going to squeeze it and also just leave it in the marinating bowl. So straight in there. You could use lime for this also because it is a tropical inspired recipe. Also some allspice and a small amount of chili. Now I'm adding a small amount, but if you like it really hot, by all means add a little bit more. You could also use some fresh chili for this. And now some garlic, so 2 cloves of garlic. I'm not going to mince this, we're just going to bruise it and just roughly chop it, really roughly chop it. Perfect, in it goes. And some ginger, and again for the ginger, I'm just going to slice the ginger into rounds. A lot of ginger for this. Perfect. And that can go in. And then for the herbs, 1 bay leaf and about 4 or 5 sprigs, I'll leave that for later, of thyme. So as you can see, it's a really strange combination, but give that a stir. Make sure all of that honey has dissolved in there. Have a smell of that. And it's like magic. You can smell that rum with the honey there and the spices. It's so good. Now for the pork. I have a 1 kilogram piece of pork neck here, or when you're going to your butcher, it's also called pork scotch. This is a fabulous cut of pork because you can see how marbled it is with the fat. It stays tender. It's not only fantastic for pot roasting or slow cooking, it's also great if you just want to barbecue medallions of it. So it's an all-purpose piece of pork. Now let's season it really well with some salt and just a touch of pepper. We don't need too much of it. We do have that chili in there. Okay, great. And now I'm going to place it in this bowl with the marinade. You just want to squish everything together in there. Squeeze the lemon over it. Make sure all of that ginger, the thyme and the spices there. And now ideally I'd leave this to marinate for about an hour or even better overnight. But I'm just going to cook this straight away. So I've preheated my pot roast here and I know it's ready because that thermo spot is bright red. So we need to sear this off to get some good colour on the pork. So just remove some of that marinade there. And then with a little bit of olive oil, this is non-stick, so it doesn't need too much, just a touch. And then in it goes. And a nice sizzle. So we're going to colour that all over. And that's going to take around 5 to 6 minutes. And while that's happening, I can get onto my pineapple and I'm just going to slice it into wedges. Now this is looking really good now. The meat has been caramelised, the pineapple chunks are caramelised too. So we can add all of the contents here from the marinade, all of the lemons, the ginger, pour that all in there, beautiful. And the smell of that rum is so good. You do actually want to allow this to boil and bubble away, as you can see here, just to cook off that alcohol, and that'll take about 10 seconds. And now we can add a little bit more liquid. Now you can add some pork stock or some chicken stock. I'm just going to add some water. There's already so much flavour in there. You just want enough, about half a cup would be enough, because what's going to happen is I'm going to pop the lid on my pot roast here, and the steam is going to come up and then go down back into the pot there, which means there is going to be lots of sauce that's going to be created when it's going to be cooking slowly in the oven. So I've got my oven on at about 170, and this is going to cook for about 45 minutes. This has come out of the oven. I've just allowed it to sit there for about 5 to 10 minutes just for the meat to rest, and oh, that smells so good. It automatically transports me to somewhere like Jamaica. I can smell the ginger in there, the rum, the pineapple, and it looks fantastic. You can see there's also some beautiful juices there. Now, there was some string around the pork, so we do need to take that off before we slice that. So we're just going to snip that away there. This meat's been cooking in the oven for about 45 minutes, and you can see it's still really tender. Look at this, it almost falls apart. So soft, so juicy. I'm going to cut a few thin slices. It's a pot roast, so you know it is supposed to look quite rustic, just like this. And then we'll cut a few more pieces. Beautiful. Just pick up that pile and pop that just on a platter there. And now for the juices and the pineapple, and we'll get the chunks of pineapple and we'll just put it around the plate on the pork. You only need 1 to 2 pieces of pineapple per person because it's so sweet after being cooked in that gorgeous sauce. And then look at this sauce. See, there's not much of it, but you really don't need that much because of the sweetness of that pineapple. Well, let's just gather some. Look at that, it's thick. And we'll just drizzle that over the meat on the plate like that. 1 more piece of pineapple because I just love it. And because I'd like to show off, I've got some baby herbs here. You could add a little bit of the thyme, little flowers there if you like, but this purple shisho against this looks so good. That is my very tropical Caribbean style pork with pineapple.